Hi everyone, hope all of you are well. This is Amir and welcome to this video which I'll be discussing some essential tips for your online AMC clinical exam. I believe these are critical tips which you need to know way before your exam to allow you enough time to prepare for these. Most of these tips are practical tips for the exam, and again, you do need quite some time to prepare for them. This is actually the second version of this video that I'm recording. The first version was recorded back in 2022 when we were in the early days of the online exam. Last year, I decided to remove that video, thinking that these are just general information and everyone knows them now. But I've been receiving many questions from you guys in the last few months that just made me realize that maybe we need to review these points again before your exam. Before I go any further, just a quick disclaimer. Any information provided in this video is for general guidance and educational purposes only. It is not intended to replace professional advice or specific instruction provided by your institution, that is AMC, and it's more about this document that we're talking about. So AMC does send you this candidate user guide a few weeks before your exam. This might be the most updated version that we'll be reviewing today. Most of the information that I go through today, I'll be referencing it directly to this document, and I'll be going over the points, and hopefully you are listening to this video a few weeks before your exam or even way before your exam, but I'm sure that you will find many of these points helpful. The main question is, why do we need to know these essential tips? The reality is that I wish this document would have been sent to you a little bit earlier. And I know that many of you guys, when you get it before your exam, just a few weeks before your exam, you're already stressing because you're lagging behind your review schedule. And then you get a document of 56 pages that it is challenging to sit down and concentrate, read through it. And obviously, many of the points like the computer requirements, the headset requirements, at that point will just give you an extra point to stress about my screen size is not good, my headset is not good, and so on. And I do remember my own personal experience back in 2021 when my wife had an online AMC clinical exam. And back in the lockdown days of Melbourne, when we had restrictions of travel, we had curfews, I had to run around for a 14-inch screen for the exam, just facing retailers that were all low in stock because everyone was working from home. So I just want you to listen to this point, hopefully prepare a little bit earlier for your exam because this does get quite stressful closer to your exam when you get this document. And if it is the first time that you're hearing about it just 2 weeks before your exam, that is just one extra step to stress about. I have divided it into two parts to make it easier to follow. Today we'll be talking about part one, that are the things that you have to know before your exam. It's mainly about the IT requirements, and hopefully I will record a part two that I'll go over what is going to happen on that special day of your exam and about how things are going to go forward, how long it takes, and so on. So today we are focusing on before your exam. The main idea is you need to prepare your IT requirements well. The reality is that the online exam is way less stressful than your face-to-face exams, as none of you guys are going to end up in that famous stressful national test center anymore. So you're sitting in your room at home, and you obviously have to connect to AMC to get the exam done. But the problem with the online exam is this IT requirement has added a extra layer of risk, because just imagine your internet breaks down during the exam. Obviously, your exam is done at that point and you're not able to continue. The good news is that IT problems are rare now, but I always get sad whenever I hear anyone ended up having problems with their internet, with their computer, and they just had to stop the exam. And I'm sure all of you know how hard it is to book an exam these days. That'll obviously mean an extra few months of study, waiting, and so on. But we'll start with our joke just to make it a little bit fun today. What is the most common question that I get before your online exam is, can I just go forward with my laptop, Amir? I don't have a headset. Can I just use the, built-in microphone and speaker on my laptop? And I just want to use my laptop's webcam. And the screen size is 13 inches. Like, do you think that'll be enough? I know that AMC says 14, but can I just get it done with 13? It's not that much of a difference. I always use a very clear example to make it clear to you guys. You are having a driving license exam. And this is an expensive driving license exam that you've paid $4,000 for. You tell me that, Amir, I have a car. Yeah, and the car still works, only sometimes. Sometimes it breaks down, but most of the time it does work. And can I do the exam with this car? Of course you can, and no one will stop you. That's the obvious answer. But just imagine, give it like 1% chance that your car breaks down in the middle of your $4,000 driving license exam. Is it really worth it or not? And I always tell you guys that, again, in that driving license exam, are you going to be more comfortable, more accurate, more professional in your driving with your old car, or are you going to be better driving with your automatic new car? And please, guys, uh, the points that I'll be going through regarding the computer, the screen, the headset, the webcam, many people have had problems in the last few years, and it'll just ruin the experience for you. You are doing an online exam. The first requirement that you need is everything that helps you connect to that online environment and get the exam done. So I would preferably do my best to prepare well, just to reduce the stress at least even a little bit for myself. And what is the worst case scenario? I'll have to go borrow my friend's computer, or I'll have to rent a computer for the exam day, but at least get the job done properly. We are going to start with the computer requirements. Regarding the Windows, now it is confirmed that Windows 11 is totally fine. There used to be a big drama around Windows 10 because in the first 2 years, when AMC started doing the online exam, they just specified that we want the system to be only Windows 10. And it was funny because at that point, Windows 11 had been released and most of the new laptops, computers were coming with Windows 11. But I have referred to the website, and on their website, they clearly mentioned that you are totally fine with a Windows 11 operating system. It can be a personal computer, it can be a laptop, no problems, but we do want to talk about MacBooks or Apple devices. Um, the exam runs through a safe browser, so it's an application that you have to download. The safe browser kind of takes you to a kind of a separate environment that kind of limits your functionality of your computer. So in your exam, you wouldn't be able to open up a Google and search things. That's the idea of taking you into that safe browser. The safe browser does not work on Mac OS, so it doesn't work on the operating system of MacBooks. You do have an option here that is to install a parallel Windows and, get your Windows running on a MacBook. I am not a fan of this. I am truly not a fan because you have a computer with an operating system that, as all of you know, Apple has its own special operating system that doesn't agree to work with anyone. Then you want to add a Windows to it. So that's a second layer that you're adding. And through that Windows, you want to go into a safe browser. That is your third layer. To be honest, even talking about it stresses me a lot that just in case your MacBook goes crazy, you drop out of the Windows, obviously you're out of your safe browser, and then you want to log into the Windows again, log into the safe browser. And I would avoid doing that. So although MacBooks can be used in the exams, and some of you guys are so brave and so in love with your MacBooks that you've done it, I would recommend you guys to get a laptop or a PC that has Windows installed on it, and that'll make your job much easier. The very important point is your screen size. Your screen size needs to be 14 inches. So when you measure your screen size, it needs to be 14 inches or more. I'll just emphasize on this. It needs to be 14 inches and above. I have heard many stories in the last few years of you guys calling me and telling me, Amir, none of my cases had a task of diagnosis and differentials. Initially, we're all scratching our heads like, how's that possible? Like, most of your cases will have a task of diagnosis and differential, just to realize later on you were brave enough to walk in with your small laptop that had a 11-inch screen and you were not seeing the complete screen on your computer, obviously not seeing the tasks. This is suicide. I know especially for you guys who have laptops, this is going to be a problem because most of your laptops will be 11, 13, and not all of them are above 14 inches, but you do need a screen size that is more than 14 inches. And please take this serious because if you don't, you are not going to be able to see the entire screen. And obviously that is your STEM, that is your task, that no one is going to read it out to you in that reading time. So you have to be able to see it to do the exam properly. Obviously no one is going to use their phones. So I'm sure like no one will do this exam on their phone, hopefully. But you are also not allowed to do it on tablets. Again, I don't think anyone will be brave enough to do this exam on a tablet. So take this first requirement quite seriously, that you need a proper computer, have Windows on it. So please don't ask me if I can do it with my MacBook. My answer will be like, don't put yourself into too much of a stress. Just borrow a computer and get a proper screen size. And I have seen a few people doing the exam with their tablets, but most of them did fail, obviously, because they were not seeing the entire screen. Now, let's get to the next important point, and that is your internet. Guys, it is quite obvious that you do need a good internet for this exam, and it'll be more about your internet speed. I know that your internet is working, you're browsing for your Instagram, your regular browsing through Google or whatever. It is working and you don't have a problem. But now you're putting your internet under a little bit of pressure in a Zoom call that runs for 7 hours. It's not just your download speed that you have to be worried about, it's more of your upload speed, because your download speed is seeing their screen, getting their voice and everything downloaded on your side, seeing and hearing them. But the problem is your upload speed of your kind of your video and audio being transmitted to the other side. I do want you guys to all do this way before your exam, because especially if you're in Australia, changing your internet or changing the internet speed is not something that is going to happen over one night. So you have to plan for this. Just jump on this free website. That is lovely. Ookla. It does have a speed test. You just go to that link, just, go just search speed test by Ookla in Google, go on the first link, press the go button. After like 30 seconds, it shows you your download speed and your upload speed. Regarding the minimums, AMC says a download speed of 2 megabytes per second and an upload speed of 3 megabytes per second. To be honest, that is the, least speed that I will do the exam for. But when I look at those numbers, I will be a little bit concerned of doing an exam with a minimum speed of 2 and 3 megabytes per second. So preferably, the faster your internet is, the more reliable that your internet is, you will be safer throughout the exam. Your screen will not freeze. Your role player wouldn't tell you like, Doc, sorry, I didn't hear you for the last 20 seconds. Can you repeat what you said? And your exam will go smoother. At the end of the day, even before your exam, AMC asks you to go to your profile and log in your speed. This is that critical. So they want you to do it before your exam and tell them what speed you have. So at least if you don't have a proper speed, you can do something about it. I would still get a second internet ready. This is not recommended in their AMC user guide, but I would preferably have you guys to have a second source of internet ready. For most of you guys, that is going to be your internet on your phones and on your SIM cards. Preferably might be worth upgrading it the day before your exam. In Australia, you'll just have to pay, I don't know, $10, $20 extra for a month. And really, please practice hotspotting. So I know many of you guys are not tech savvies. You might have not hotspotted connected your computer to your phone's internet, but practice that. If you have an iPhone, if you have an Android, just get your son or friend to show you how you can hotspot your phone and connect your computer to your phone's internet. You never know, just in case you're having bad luck, something special happens, your main internet disconnects and is not reconnecting. At that point, you want to be in the exam ASAP. And your best goal is to get yourself a second internet source and jump back into the exam. Now, let's get to the headset. All of you know what I'm going to tell you about the headset. I know that all of us have some type of a headset at our homes. So I can guarantee that all of you guys have more than one or two headsets at home. But there are some certain requirements that you have to tick off for the headset. And again, please don't ask me the question of, can I just use my computer's microphone and computer speaker? It does work. I always make the joke that in case the other guy on the other side, the examiner, is not hearing you properly, what do you expect? Do you expect them to score you? I'm not hearing you. Sorry, mate. I'll see you next time. So AMC makes this clear that problems with your audio and video equipment on the day of the examination can cause additional stress to the candidates, delays to the examination delivery, and ultimately it can result in the candidates being withdrawn from the examination. So they'll tell you, you are not able to continue. We might see you next time. So go book another exam. That is why AMC focuses on telling you guys, please be familiar with your audio and video equipment and test it before your exam. Now, regarding the headset, using a headphone is compulsory. So you need a headset. You need a headphone to put on your ears, not the speakers on your computer. This is compulsory. They're not going to let you do the exam without a headphone or a headset. So please take this seriously. And AMC even tells you that, look, we also want you to have a second pair ready. Just in case your first pair decides not to work on that day, at least you'll have a backup plan. So at least one or two headsets that you want to have at home. Now, regarding the headsets, there are still a few things that you have to remember. They need to be plug-in. So by plug-in, I mean they are wired. They're not Bluetooth or any other type of connection. They need to be plug-in because with Bluetooth headphones, you always know they suddenly may disconnect. With wireless headphones and again, Bluetooth headphones, you always have the battery that is a problem. This is an exam that is going to start 9 a.m. and drag on into the afternoon. I don't think any wireless headset has such a great battery to kind of drag through that 7, 8 hours of the exam. So you need a plug-in wired headset. The second thing is your headset needs a separate microphone. So the idea is that, for example, you do see some of the headsets don't have that microphone stick. They're not going to work. They do have an inbuilt microphone, but you do need one separate microphone kind of added to your headset. And that's the idea of a headset. A headset is a headphone with the microphone. So again, this is something that I will take seriously. I do get this question a lot from you guys that what is your recommendation in terms of headset? Um, I would invest in a good headset, guys. This is a $4,000 exam. Hopefully you don't want to do it again and you want to pass it on the first go or just this attempt and get over with the exam. I can guarantee if you invest in a headset, it's not going to be the last time that you use it in your life, or it's not going to be the last time that it's used in its lifetime. You can use it for your future exams, future sessions, future meetings. Your family members can use it with whatever online thing they want to do. I would recommend investing in a good headset. So if I've paid for a $4,000 exam, I wouldn't mind paying $100 for a good headset. These are my recommendations. And again, I wish Logitech would have sponsored this video that they haven't. And no one has paid me to do this. But the idea is that this is one of my favorites, the Logitech Edge 540. It has a reasonable price. Usually, if you're lucky to get it in sale, so you can always monitor JB Hi-Fi a month or two before your exam. For example, in the end of financial year, the Boxing Day, you usually get sales on this. It ends up being something around $90 or something. If you want something cheaper, you can go cheaper version of Logitech. And if you don't want to go with Logitech, obviously you do have other types. I think Jabra might be another good one. I have role played with a few of you guys using Jabra and the quality is good, but the price point is kind of similar. So you can see you're thinking about something around $70 to $100 for a good headset. There are more expensive headsets. Obviously, if you really are into buying such an expensive headset, I wouldn't go any cheaper than this. That's a reality. So I wouldn't go and buy that $15 headset on eBay. I wouldn't because you definitely know it's not going to work well. And even if it works, the quality of your audio is not going to be good. And you definitely want to get your voice across to the other side for the examiner to hear you and score you. So these are usually my recommendations. The idea is that I usually want one of these headsets that kind of sit on your ears, not the ones that are over the ears. The reason is as this exam goes for a long amount of time, usually the ones that kind of are over ears are a little bit heavier, obviously more expensive, but you start getting a little bit of difficulties on wearing them for a longer amount of time. The thing that I like about these headsets is usually these guys sit on the ear. Although some of you guys find it uncomfortable, but anyway, I'm sure that if we put 100 people into an 8-hour exam with a headset on their ears, no matter what type of headset they're using, they always have a little bit of earache and difficulties, but that's just part of it. I would still prefer you guys to get these on-ear headsets rather than the over-ear big ones that are usually a little bit heavy. Now let's get to the webcam. So again, same idea. I'm sure that hopefully no one wants to go into the exam with their poor quality old webcam on their old laptop. I would preferably get myself a external webcam. The funny thing is like if, for example, you're doing the exam on your laptop, before the exam, they need to do a room check, and it's always a little bit hard to, unplug your laptop, hold up the laptop, show the room and stuff. I would preferably get you guys to prepare a good quality webcam. And again, it's not just for this exam. I'm sure you're going to use it for a very long time. You can still use your laptop's webcam, guys. It's not like I'm telling you that you can't. You can still go forward with your laptop's webcam, but at least make sure it's appropriate, acceptable level quality of video. Yeah, so most of your new laptops do have cameras and webcams that are good quality. If your laptop is a little bit older, I'll be a little bit careful because, again, I don't want to walk into an online exam with that bad quality video. One problem with your laptop's webcam is you preferably want to have the webcam at the level of your eyes. And that is a little bit hard to maintain with a laptop. So AMC even brings this up in the document that they tell you that we would like you to have the webcam position at roughly at your eye level, and your head and shoulders need to be in clear view of the camera. The problem is that when you look down to the camera, so if the webcam is much lower, just do it once, turn on your camera and put it down, look down to it, and you will see that it doesn't look good on the video. At the same time, looking down 7, 8 hours, I'm sure you're going to end up with a neck pain at the end of the exam. So preferably you need your webcam to be at the level of your eyes. Now, this is the problem. You can elevate your laptop with something. AMC doesn't allow books, dictionaries, and stuff to be in the room. That is one problem. You can get one of those stands maybe that might elevate your laptop or at least give it a tilt so the webcam will come a little bit higher. But I always recommend a personal computer with a proper external webcam. And again, AMC has this beautiful guide to posture that comes from the Safe Work Australia website. You can clearly see that one idea is that you don't want to be looking down at the webcam, preferably having the webcam at the level of your eye, just to give you a better video. I'm your examiner, I'm scoring you, so at least I see you properly. The second thing is you're not going to end up with a neck pain or shoulder ache towards the end of the day. What is my recommendation? Again, I think Logitech has a acceptable good quality, and you're just looking at different price points and what you're willing to pay for your webcam. You do have the cheaper versions of Logitech. I think this one costs around, I don't know, $80, $90, something like that. But you do have the better versions, obviously, the second version of Logitech, and you even have more expensive versions. I think this one costs around $199, $200. If you really want to invest in something proper that you're going to use for years, I would recommend this one because this one also gives you that additional light, has a great quality, and works very well. Now let's get to one of our last IT requirements, and that'll be your Zoom application. I don't think I need to explain what Zoom is for anyone a few years after COVID. All of us have used Zoom in different circumstances in the last few years. There are just a few practical things that you want to do before your exam, as your online exam is essentially hosted by Zoom. So you go to your safe browser, but on your safe browser, you have to log into your Zoom account and log into the exam. The first thing is before your exam, preferably a few days before your exam, if you open your Zoom application on your computer, on the top taskbar on your logo, you just click on it, just click for check for updates. You preferably want to have the most up-to-date version of Zoom. The reason being is obviously Zoom always fixes the bugs that they have on the system. And the other reason is that occasionally older versions of Zoom may have some functionality problems. So you want to make sure that you do have the most up-to-date version of Zoom, especially if you get it updated 2 weeks before your exam. It might be worth checking it the day or 2 days before your exam one last time. The second problem is the way that you're going to do the exam on Zoom. That again, I expect everyone to be good at this. You do have a full explanation in that document, but just play up with this. As long as you play with it a few times, you'll be totally fine. The way that the exam is done, usually it's done in the gallery mode. So this is the screenshot of what you have in your candidate user guide that you have to change. Go on the view button and go on side by side gallery. You might notice a little bit of difference in the way that the application looks on the newer versions of Zoom, and it's going to look like this. So if you open it up and you don't have that side by side thing anymore, what's going to happen is you're going to choose gallery. Choose gallery, and the idea of doing it gallery is giving you a screen like this that you can't see the few videos of whoever is in your station. You are going to see the screen of your STEM and your case on the other side. So this is kind of keeping both on the same screen at the same time. And the most important thing is using this functionality button that usually when you hold this bar, you'll be able to minimize and maximize it. So usually it is recommended in your 2 minute reading time to just kind of pull this bar to the side because no cameras will be on except for yourself. Read your case properly to have it properly on your screen because some of the stems are a little bit big. But then when the case starts, obviously you don't need to see that stem much clear, but you preferably want to see a role player. You'll just pull that kind of bar to the side just to increase the size of your video and your role player's video. You're never going to see your examiner. So most of the time, 99%, you're not going to see your examiner. He might be there with a camera that is turned off, but you will have your role player being there and your invigilator that we'll talk about in part two. Might be worth jumping on Zoom, updating it, and playing up with your gallery view, playing with it a little bit. So on the day, at least you'll be comfortable using that. And the last point that we need to talk about is the examination environment. We'll talk a little bit more about this in the second video, and I'll give you a few practical tips about that. But you do want to let everyone at home know that you are doing an exam, so you don't want your child or your partner running in the room, suddenly realizing that you have an exam, because that'll be a problem. So no one should interrupt you. If you have pets, especially, get them out of the way. You don't want your dog barking behind the door while you're doing your exam and no one is home. That'll be a problem. So children, animals, just try to plan for the day. I know it sometimes gets hard because your partner is working, you have a small child and stuff like that, but preferably plan for this properly. And please just remind everyone at home that you don't want them to be using the internet. You don't want anyone being on Netflix and seeing their favorite series while you're doing your exam because it'll drop your speed in the exam. You don't want your son to suddenly decide that he wants to download this game now that mom is doing this exam. I want to download this 100 GB game for my PlayStation. That is definitely going to give you a little bit of trouble. So just let everyone know at home that you're doing this, preferably turn everything off, all the other computers at home, all the other TVs at home, just to have that internet to yourself and to be able to use it completely. But the other thing is, you need a private room. So you're not able to sit in an open area. So you're not able to sit in your backyard, for example, to do the exam. You're not able to do it in a shared living area. So be careful about that. The very common question, because I know some of you guys work and live in rural areas, and obviously because you don't have a good, reliable internet, you'll have to kind of travel to a kind of a metropolitan area to get that good internet. You can do the exam in a hotel room in case all the other boxes are ticked off ahead. You're sure to do that in terms of having a reliable speed, having a nice environment, and so on. You should turn off your virtual background. One point that I did want to bring up at the screen point was you are able to use only one monitor. This has been a point of confusion for many people who have laptops that has a screen smaller than 14 inches, and now they want to kind of connect it to an external screen. However, AMC has allowed this, but has a big list of criteria and rules that your computer screens need to be turned off. It needs to be closed, blah, blah, blah. And again, I think some of you guys have been having difficulties to getting your MacBooks running like that. So preferably, guys, again, going back to the same topic, I'll get you guys to have a proper um, computer, PC, or laptop prepared for the exam. And usually getting a second screen, a second monitor, just adds one layer of stress for you guys. So you can see, I'm telling you over and over again, you are already stressed and worried about your IT systems and devices functioning properly. You don't want to add extra layers of problems for yourself. A second screen, install Windows on a MacBook. You don't want to do that. You want appropriate lighting. Again, we'll talk about it in our second video that you don't want to be sitting where the light source is behind you. So don't ever sit uh, like the window being behind you, because obviously you'll have a lot of light from that point and your face is going to be dark and it doesn't work. And AMC kind of wants you to get all of your other electric devices out of the room. So any reference material, textbook, dictionary, spare monitor, printer, other distractions must be covered or preferably removed. I usually ask you guys to just empty the room. Empty the room and, you know, so you don't have to stress in the morning of the exam. Imagine you have something in the room and you go like, nah, it'll be fine. Just in the morning, 20 minutes before your exam, you have a problem. They ask you to remove it. Just imagine at that point, you want to remove it yourself. You can't, it's heavy and all the stuff that happens. I would preferably do it in a room that is almost totally empty, definitely empty with the stuff, books, dictionaries, notes, paper, any type of electrical device, any type. So the printer, the extra spare monitor, my iPad, everything else will be kept outside of your room. And one last thing that I might want to add for, again, the computer, because as a general practitioner, I know many of my GP friends are planning to do the exam in their clinic because they obviously have a better internet there. Just be careful when you do it at work. One problem that kind of comes up at work is on the computer that you're doing the exam, you have to kind of be the admin profile on that computer, because you do know that many of your computers in your clinics are kind of shared between multiple doctors. You kind of log into your own profile, but you do have a main admin that kind of restricts you from many things. So if you ever tried to install an application, for example, on your work computer, you see that you are restricted to do that because you don't have all the functionality of admin. Just make sure, have a chat with your IT team at your clinic just to make sure that you do have full access before you do this exam. Because essentially what's going to happen is you need to download a safe browser, install it, go into the safe browser and get your exam done. And if you do have certain degrees of restriction, that is going to be a problem. So hopefully I've been able to answer all of your questions about what's going to happen before the exam, about the IT requirements, and hopefully you found this video helpful. If you had any questions, you can email me or just comment it below this video, and I'll try my best to answer it in the second part. And hopefully I'll be back for the second part just to discuss what's going to happen on the day and what are the things that you need to know.